G'day, Brendan and Sarah here with the Cargo Bike crew, and welcome to the start of a small series on cargo trikes. So in this series we'll explore different types of cargo trikes and pros and cons to each. We'll do a comparison between cargo trikes and a two-wheeled front loader cargo bike, and we'll fit in a few reviews as well. Right now I'm riding in a Nihola Family Gen2 that we'll be using for part of the series. Many thanks to Dutch Cargo for the loan of the bike. This was released in Europe last year and just arrived in Australia recently. So we'll take it for a quick spin and do a small review on it for you guys. Nihola manufacture their cargo bikes just outside of Copenhagen, which is widely regarded as one of the world leaders in terms of bicycle infrastructure. While cargo trikes are a small market share here in Australia, this type of cargo bike is one of the most popular in Denmark. In fact, Nihola have manufactured thousands of cargo bikes for the Danish Post to deliver mail all around Denmark. The family model we're reviewing is a medium-sized two-seater cargo bike with additional room for groceries or bags or whatever up the front. You can fit two kids up to the age of about 7 or 8 years old. It's also really popular for carrying dogs, or as we showed you at the start of the video, you can carry adults if you like. Nihola have just announced more sizes coming to Eurobike 2025. So they've got the low, the 4.0 and the 1, and they'll all be shown with the new Gen2 frame. The trike is 205 centimetres long and 89 centimetres wide. You can get the width down a little bit further to 85 centimetres if you turn the front wheels across like that. But I know a lot of doorways are a bit narrower than this, so this is something to consider if you're looking for somewhere to park it or store it. And this is going to be the case for pretty much all cargo trikes. Inside the cabin, you've got 88 centimetres of length front to back. You've got 62 centimetres of width, but taking into account the curved sides, you can fit a rectangular 60 by 40 Euro crate in the front here. And the box height itself from the bottom here up to the top is 50 centimetres. And then I'll show you the optional hood. From the seat pad to the top of the hood, it's 78 centimetres. Maximum gross vehicle weight is 230 kilos. Max load in the front is 100 kilos. And with the base of the box that low to the ground, you get your centre of gravity nice and low, so you get really good handling. The whole frame, including the front cargo box, is welded from steel tubes. This is done in the Nihola factory in Denmark. And fully equipped with the battery and the hood and everything, the Nihola Family Gen2 weighs 57 kilos. So the standover height of this frame is about average at 52 centimetres. The bike itself is quite stable, so you just hang on and pop your leg over like that. As I said earlier, there is a low version coming which will have a lower step through here. Now I haven't seen an official spec, but I'd say you could get riders from about 160 centimetres all the way up to 2 metres tall on this Family Gen2. As you can see, there's a little bit further that the seat post can go into, so you can probably swap the seat post out for something shorter and you can get a little bit lower to the ground there. Now the main reason why the Nihola is so popular is the Ackerman or the independent steering. So this means the front wheels steer separately from the box, and that just makes for a much more intuitive riding experience. You still have to be careful not to corner too quickly. You can tip over a bit if you take corners quite fast, but it's a much better driving or riding experience compared to a centre pivot cargo trike. I'll show you how it works on the ride. Also underneath there's a steering damper, and that's fitted to help reduce or slow down the feedback from bumps going through to the handlebars. The Gen2 frame features a mid-motor mount integrated into the frame, and that's in response to the trend at the moment for pedal assist cargo bikes. You've got the Bafang M410 motor here, which is a 250 watt motor with 80 Newton meters of torque. On the back here, you've got a 750 watt hour battery pack. That's pretty big, mounted on the pannier rack. So you've got rails on either side to fit pannier bags back here. And up front, we'll do a range test on the battery pack, see how far that goes. I reckon about 75 kilometers range per charge on full power. And there's the addition of a throttle up here. It can be a bit controversial, but I'll go into it a bit more detail on our test ride. This one's a legal implementation up to 6 kilometers an hour. And then all the way down the back here, it's driven through this Bafang 3-speed automatic internal gear hub. It's fully speed dependent, so there's no cables coming up from the handlebars, there's no electronics in there. As you ride the bike and get up to speed, it shifts automatically at predetermined shift points. It does have a little bit of a limited gear range, 165%. So we'll have to see how it performs. We might have to do a bit of a modified hill climb test later on. We've got dual Bengal Aries hydraulic disc brakes at the front, 160mm rotors. The front lever has this parking brake, so you can use it when you're at a stop and your bike won't roll away. And then at the rear, you've got the matching Bengal Aries with a 160mm rotor as well. These hydraulic brakes are much better than cable pull brakes, so you get very even braking, it doesn't pull to the side and you don't need to do any adjustment. So I'm interested to see how these perform on the road test. Up front, you've got 20-inch wheels, and at the back, you've got 26-inch wheels. We're fitted all around with the Kenda Quick Journey tyres in a 1.75-inch width. While they're not cargo specific, they are e-bike rated and they've got reinforced sidewalls and puncture protection. So they're a pretty good all-round trekking tyre. The tread pattern's smooth, but it should work pretty well on light gravel like you see here. As far as accessories go, you've got mudguards fitted all around. As usual, I like to see them a little bit longer, but these are quite nice. They're full plastic mudguards, enclosed all the way on the inside, so kids sitting up here, they can't stick their hands on the outside and get their fingers in the spokes, so that's quite nice. You've got hardwired front and rear lights, so you don't have to charge them separately. These are a Spanninger HL 1900, which is just a single LED. You probably want some extra lights to help you see at night, but these ones are really useful to use all the time just to help you stand out in traffic. And an M-Wave triple LED at the rear. There is a simple rear wheel lock, but as always, I'd recommend using a D-lock while you're out and about, give you that extra bit of security. Now the child seat here is included, but the hood on the box is an optional extra. There are other upgrades you can fit up front here. You can put some wire belts in with shoulder straps for younger kids. You can fit an opening door up the front for dogs to get in so they don't have to jump over the edge. Down the bottom you can fit rubber floor mat so your things don't go sliding around all over the place. And also you can quickly remove the seat if you need to carry larger objects, just like this. All right, let's head out to the test circuit and see how it performs. All right, out here on the road, and you do have to be mindful of how wide this thing is. It's the first thing that struck me when I took this out. You do have a really good front view of the wheels up there, so you can go around obstacles. In this test, we've got 40 kilos up the front to simulate a bit of a load. I think actually it rides a little bit better with something in the front. When you're empty, it does get bounced around a little bit. One thing with trikes I've ridden in the past is the tendency to follow bumps and angles in the road, sort of shoot your steering off to one side. So most roads are constructed with a bit of a camber or cross fall to make the rainwater run off into the gutters. So your bike sort of ends up being on a bit of a tilt and your steering follows suit. But the Nihola just doesn't seem to suffer from this as much. Rides really well, even if you've got a slight angle. Road here, you can see I'm on a bit of an angle, no hands. It's really, really stable. 24 k's an hour, it's really good. I don't have the hood on right now, but I've noticed when I was testing it earlier with the hood on, it does suffer a little bit in wind. So the same with our urban arrow. You just got to slow it down a little bit and be a bit more mindful of your steering when it's windy. Under 20 k's an hour, it's super stable. You got no issues riding along. Yeah, as you ride closer to 25 k's an hour, downhill you'll hit 30 k's an hour easily. And you just need a little bit more effort and concentration to keep it in a straight line. Dodging potholes and manhole covers and bumps and things like that. All right, up here on the shared path, this is where the Nihola really excels. Nice and flat. 15, 20 k's an hour, no issue. You could ride like this for a long time. Super comfortable. Carry your kids to the playground or heading to the shops. This is what it's made for. It's going hard into that curve. It's a really quiet motor as well. Only a small amount of wind at maximum assist. Maximum power is about 600 watts. And yeah, it's quite powerful on assist 5. You barely need to touch the pedals to sort of keep the bike moving along. The Bafang automatic gearbox is an interesting choice. So the main selling point is just reduce distractions while you're riding along. So basically all you have to do is start pedaling. The first shift point is about 13 k's an hour and the second shift point is 17 k's an hour. And the average cadence is really quite low, so it doesn't show it on the display, but I reckon it's about 60 RPM average cadence when you're riding along. So quite low for myself as a sportier rider, but for leisure and transport rides, it's actually really relaxing. So you slow down for a bend or come to a stop and shifts back down at those same speeds. So you're back in first gear when you're stationary and you can just start off again like that. This looks like a really good place to do a quick acceleration test just to see how it changes up under power. All right, we're on maximum assist, it's already in first gear. I'll do it without the throttle so we can see how it performs. 3, 2, 1, go. Motor kicks in. Up to second gear and third gear very quickly. My legs just want to wind it out a little bit more. But it just changes gears, a little bit of a clink and then that's it. And 25 k's an hour will hit the mark. Grab the front brakes quite a bit. I'm going probably 5 meters on this one. The front brakes are super powerful, if a little bit noisy. The rear brake just feels a bit wooden under hand. It doesn't match the front brake feel. I'll probably use this more for just adjusting speed as I'm riding along, and the front brake is what I'm relying on to slow the bike down significantly. All right, out on the gravel here, and you get a lot of confidence from having 2 wheels up the front. So even if the tyres lose traction, not really too much risk falling off. Just like that. Just got to watch out for washaways and rocks and potholes and things like that. They can bounce you offline. Yeah, the automatic gearbox. Around here. Automatic gearbox means the cables aren't getting all gritty and worn out. Yeah, the big single speed chain down there is going to be super durable. So it definitely performs quite well on the gravel tracks. All right, so the EN 15194 legal speed limit for throttle assist is 6 kilometers an hour. That's what Bafang have implemented here, and it's more of a walk assist or start up assist. So the motor actually takes maybe a third to a half a crank revolution to get going. So if I stand up here on the crank, that's all of my body weight on the crank, and the bike's not even moving. As soon as I touch the throttle, I can get the bike going, and very, very little power through the crank set, very, very little power through the pedals. Bike climbing up over this hill. Remember, we've got 40 kilos in the bucket here, so it's not easy. 500 or 600 watts starting power. So if you're relying on human power alone to get up hills like that, you're really going to struggle. There we go. So what are the cons to having a throttle? It's really just accidental activation. So there could be a moment where you're just maneuvering the bike, you don't have the brakes on, and you accidentally tap the throttle and it suddenly gets away from you. You don't want that, so what I like to do is just go down to power level 0, and there's no risk of accidental activation. All right, let's try it cornering at different speeds. Even at less than walking pace, it's almost impossible to unbalance the Nihola. Let's just head through this underpass. It's quite tight through here. You can easily manoeuvre through here. It's great to be able to see both front wheels, and you can just point it where you need to go. All right, cruising pace, 15, 16 k's an hour, taking this corner here. Super easy, you don't really need to lean at all. Don't mind that. All right, same corner, 20 k's an hour. You can just start to feel the forces push you out a little bit more as you get over 20 k's an hour, and depending on the lean in the corner, you will need to start leaning into the corner if you don't slow down. A little bit better in this direction, but 23 k's an hour. Very nice. All right, so you've probably noticed we're not at our regular hill climb location, and honestly, I don't think this bike is really geared towards doing 15% hill climbs. So up here, it's about 10% in the middle there. It's not very long, but it'll give you a good idea of what this bike can achieve. Now, yeah, one problem is the range. It's not really set up with a climbing gear. And the other problem is I found that it doesn't like to shift down under power. So we'll see what it's like when we start heading up the hill. All right, so let's try this. Come in with a bit of speed, third gear here. 20 k's an hour, 21, 22, and now we've hit the hill. I'm putting a bit of pressure through the legs, and it's just slowing down. 16, 15, 14, so the clutch is locked up. 13, 12, and if I back off the power now, I've lost all the momentum. It's gone back to first gear. I've had to use the throttle to get back up. And here we are at the top. So it's made it eventually. I don't think that's quite fair on the bike. It's not really geared towards that. So let's head back to the bottom and give it another go. All right, here we go again. I'm just gonna go really light on the pedals. Oops, it's changed up. Let's just let it change back. All right, click. Keep it at 10 k's an hour. Now remember, we do have 40 kilos in the front. Really light on the pedals. 570 watt output on the motor. 10 k's an hour. Past the steepest bit now. Yeah, in the end, no problem. 40 kilos in the box here, like I said. There's just a bit of a technique to get that gearbox to work for you. You've got to keep it in first gear before you get to the hill and just slowly get up the hill. Very little pressure on the pedals.
The family model has seats for 2 kids up to about 7 years old, or 1 bigger person if you take the roof off. It's got a fairly simple lap belt, but it can be upgraded to double wire belts for smaller kids.
It's too tight.
My little one got pretty good at buckling up on his own, as long as it wasn't too tight. Even though it seems a bit bumpy in the footage, he never complained about the ride quality. It's a bit different to a front loader as the passenger's sitting right over the front wheels, so they can get bumped side to side. They do have to get used to leaning a bit into the corners, but he got used to it after a couple of days. For the rider, it's super stable riding with kids. Could be two older kids or one younger kid or one older kid. Bit of an offset load, no issue. And if you need to stop for any reason, it's so easy just to pull up and apply the park brake, see what they need. Even with the hood on, you can leave the side zips open just for a little bit of extra ventilation. And I'd recommend taking bumps at a slower speed, as you can see in this footage how much it bumps from side to side. And out to do our regular weekend shop for three. I love the extra space under the front seat. You can get a whole basket down there and a couple of bags up front. You could stack them too high if you need. The side walls are nice and high. And we've got plenty of legroom here as well. Even fully loaded, it's super easy to ride, even no hands. And one nice thing, if you're in a tight spot, you can lift up the back of the trike and just turn it around. This is just after we got back from the shops, so fully loaded with the kids still inside.
Alright, on our range tests, you can see here a few of the estimates. On assist level 5, which is the maximum level of assistance, we have an estimate of 74 kilometres, and that seems about average for this size battery pack on a cargo bike. The actual distance we achieved on test was 60 kilometres, so I think that's pretty good considering it's a trike, so you've got additional rolling resistance. And that last day of testing, we still had the hood on the trike, and it was a 30 km/h headwind all the way home. So I think we did pretty well to get 60 kilometres out of a full charge. All right, here are my final thoughts on the Nihola. So the base price of the Family Gen 2 is $11,500. Now, that might seem quite expensive, but keep in mind that it is handmade in Denmark and it's built to last. So you've got the panels that won't rot, you've got stainless steel fittings and brackets, the simplified drivetrain to keep maintenance down. Nihola have been building cargo bikes for over 25 years, and they even build the bikes for the Danish Post, so you know you're going to buy into something that will last. It's just a nice evolution of product to get the electric motor integrated into the frame there, and I think it's definitely one of those, it's a must-try option really for someone who's looking for a really stable ride, whether or not you're carrying cargo in it. It doesn't matter if it's kids or dogs or shopping or whatever. I really like the bike for how stable and sturdy it is. One thing though, I do find the spec a little bit low compared to, say, the Christiania mid-drive i5. So that's got a Shimano EP6 cargo motor linked to the Nexus Inter 5e internal gear hub that I've been talking about. It's at a lower price point. It doesn't have the Ackerman steering or the independent steering, so it's less complicated to manufacture, but even so the spec is one step a little bit higher. If I were Nihola, I would offer a plus version in addition to this one, so just a little bit higher price point. Offer the Inter 5e gearbox, give the bike a bit more range, a bit more hill climbing ability. It's already fitted to the Nihola Combo, the wheelchair taxi version, so there's no issue with the factory supporting that. I'd also bump up the brakes. The Bengal brakes worked all right. They'll perform perfectly fine, but I really like the Tektro Auriga. They come in a twin caliper version, really good brake feel, thicker calipers, super nice brakes. And yeah, finally I'd fit probably some better headlights, some brighter headlights that will work nicer at night time. So the Spaniger Accendo and Pimento combo that I saw recently, that's a really nice entry-level combo that just won't blow the budget. So have this one at 11,500 and then have a plus version at maybe 12,000, 12,250 or something like that. Just a little bit of extra spec for a little bit of extra money. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review on the Nihola Family Gen 2. Please like the video if you did and subscribe for the rest of our cargo trike series. See you soon.